Another episode of Group Up Podcast is Flats crank some shit up to the max. We're here for the great 2022 debate. I hope you've all had fantastic New Year's and a holiday season and you're ready for the new year of Overwatch. And we will reflect on what has been a very eventful day for Overwatch itself, from the depths of dead game to now live service game. Let's see how it's been. The homies are back. Unfortunately, Frito's unwell. That's one normal event of holidays in the cold, is that sometimes we catch him. So unfortunately, Frito couldn't make it. So we'll get the OG squad, but we've got our replacement in the capable hands of Winton Overwatch himself, Bogur. Bogur, what's up? Winton. How's your New Year's been? I actually saw Bogur for New Year's.
Yeah, you were there. You gave me a kiss.
I gave him a kiss. It was lit. In the bottom right. Oh yeah, go ahead. Finish.
I was gonna say, were you there when the old man? No, you weren't there.
No, I wasn't there with the old man. Sadly.
Okay. Yeah, sad.
I wish I was, but we'll find another old man to harass you in the future. In the bottom right is my man Samito. Samito, Happy New Year, man.
Hey, Happy New Year. Hope everyone's holiday season was great, and let's tear it up this year.
Let's tear it up. Flats, Happy New Year in the top left. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too shabby. Has it been a fun holiday period for you?
Never is, but we get through it.
We get through it. Okay, well, we'll look forward to it and the rest of 2023. But for now, I think it's time to take stock and reflect on the year that's gone by. So as we always do, I'm going to start with just some brief thoughts with you guys. I want to touch base with you where you're at. So my question to you guys, 2022, in a couple sentences, how would you summarize the year for Overwatch? Flats, I'm going to take it to you first. 2022 for Overwatch, how would you summarize it? From dead Overwatch 1 game, no idea when the new game is coming out, to a couple betas, and then eventually early access in October, to where we are now. How do you feel?
I would say, first and foremost, really happy that, we're no longer in the dark ages. Like, we have come through the tunnel. We have seen the lights. Things are a billion times better, and I'll never go back to that again, and I hope we never do. But in the same breath, slightly disappointed. I feel like things could be a lot better. I feel like things, I know there's probably more reasons behind it, but is it everything we hoped and everything we expected? I say there's a few things that are definitely lacking. But overall, though, way, 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 way better than where we were. So I'm happy with it.
Fair. Samito, how you feeling?
I was a step out in the right direction, for sure. To what degree, that you could argue that all day. Obviously, with Overwatch 2 out, it's definitely better than I would say even definitely better than 21. But obviously a lot to still work on. I think whenever you drastically change as much as what was changed coming into this game, it's going to propose its own set of issues that come on, and there's still a lot of time on the clock, I guess, to say or see rather what could come of it. So I definitely a better year than the previous year, but I think we'll get into the nitty gritty as the show goes on, as they say.
Indeed we will. Plenty to dig our teeth into. Bogur, a little bit unwell, but how have you felt about 2022 for Overwatch?
It was good. It was alright. I see a lot of people complaining right now. I just kind of was, in the UK and looking at my phone on Twitter, and people just kept complaining. But I understand. But it's a lot better than the beginning of the year, so I'm kind of okay with that. I'm always happy whenever something brings me more money than before, so that's a big W for me.
This is
big
true.
Supporter of making money, so I can go to London and spend it on Five Guys.
That's a chain burger, by the way. He did spend it on 5 human men, but
you went all the way to 5. You went to the UK.
I've never had Five Guys.
Guys.
I've never had Five Guys, so I went there and I ate Five Guys. I ate Taco Bell. I've never had Taco Bell before, and some other stuff like that. It was
Shake Shack?
No, I didn't have Shake Shack, unfortunately.
Did anyone did anyone coach you until you get the grilled cheeseburger? Did anyone ever do
No,
that?
no, nobody,
Oh my
nobody.
god, you guys!
Unfortunately.
Did people let you down, bro?
Yeah, they
Got
did. They
bamboozled.
did. Really
Got
did.
bamboozled.
It was alright, but
What
you
was the
know,
secret of the burger? What's the secret of the burger? I'm curious now.
So especially on it's easiest I think on like the delivery apps, but if you choose the grilled cheese, you can add options to it, and you can add a patty. And what they do is they make a burger, but they make the grilled cheese on the outside. It's fire. It's really good.
nice.
Interesting.
But returning back to Overwatch, if you don't play ranked, it's alright. If you don't play ranked, it's alright. And I like that we get updates sometimes, and I like that we have new heroes. There's a lot of issues, but it's a lot better than before, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard, isn't it? Because there's always recency bias. Like, I'm thinking about my own feelings, and at the start, I remember actually a year ago we did the podcast, or maybe just towards the end of 2021, basically, we did a podcast, and we said 2021 is the worst year for Overwatch ever. It'll never be this bad again. 2022 will be better, and then from there on, it'll be better. And to that extent, it certainly was. We actually had. Well, we have Overwatch 2 now. We have updates. We have new heroes. We have new cosmetics. We have free to play. We have a battle pass. So everything we kind of asked for, and yet, I somehow feel like a little bit of a spoiled child, being like, but it wasn't what Santa told me he'd bring me. It wasn't quite what I thought it would be. And so there's definitely an air of like underwhelming feeling to what's happened so far. And again, I know it is early access, but and that's something like. So go ahead. Who wanted to interrupt there?
I want to test something. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a
What are you
second.
testing?
Does this work? Okay.
You're not Flats, but yes, Swinton.
Okay, continue.
Looks like
Yeah,
Sesame Street.
No, I think that, just basically, it is early access, but then at the same time, I think people say, I'll adjust the cameras in a second for all you tripping out. The problem is that you can't say early access is an excuse when the monetization is in full effect, right? You can't be like, well, it's just early access, but then you're charging everyone all the money for the shops and the battle pass and the potential hero purchases. So I think, unfortunately, in the current gaming industry, the slack for what would be an early access is not really there. And I think that's partly why some of the underwhelming feeling is coming. But I want to start us off with a bit of a spicy question. And someone asked me this on Twitter when I made the announcement post that we were going to do this. Someone was like, ask the guys if so you guys have all been sticking it out through Overwatch, right? You didn't, none of you really abandoned it significantly. I know, Sam, you played a little bit of Warzone and stuff, but still you were Overwatch to the core. Someone asked me on Twitter, do any of the panelists regret sticking with Overwatch through the dark years as they did, having come out to where we are right now? So I'm going to start us off because I'm going to set the scene first, and then I'll take it to Sam first because I want to hear his thoughts as someone who kind of has flirted with leaving Overwatch and I think has currently uninstalled Overwatch. The scene is early 2022, right? Creators are all on Twitter saying, we believe that Overwatch is saved. Overwatch, this next year is going to be amazing for Overwatch. We have so much optimism. I think, Sam, you said as well, more optimism than I've ever had for Overwatch. Fast forward now, we're saying we're underwhelmed. You've uninstalled the game. Do you regret what happened? Like, did it live up to what you thought it would be, or not?
It's so. Are you saying strictly from the perspective of like from the start of 2022, not like 2021 or like whatever? So from 2022, January 1st, 2022 to now, did it live up to my expectations of what I wanted?
I think just the last, let's say 18 months as well. We'll add a little bit longer because, again, I think I want to go from that point when the creators were really hyped, right? When they were like, well, we had our call and we can't discuss the details before anyone comes in and says, what did they tell you? Or think we still don't want to get sued. So we won't go into details, but there was optimism. So from that point to now.
There were some things I was disappointed in and there were some things that I was not. As from a content creator perspective in general, I wish I had branched out earlier, just from like the sole perspective of it's honestly better as a creator to be more involved in multiple titles than just one. Like as a business perspective, like that's always much better in general, in my opinion. I think that having more bases covered are great. You can have your specialties, sure, but I wish personally I had covered content in other games too that I really, really enjoyed and loved. I think the latter half of the year definitely met my expectations. But I think I definitely wasn't a big fan of how the beta models rolled out. I get they wanted to do their big release. It just wasn't ideal. It might have been the best possible outcome, right? But it just still wasn't ideal because obviously we didn't really get the game, until October. So, you still have the first 9 months of the year where you're kind of juggling everything. Okay, we have the alpha, we have all this, and it's just not quite ready yet. It's almost like a pre-release at that point, right? In which I didn't really find it very interesting. There wasn't a competitive mode in the betas, which obviously I think is the best format of Overwatch to keep the game engaging over a long period of time, for me personally, at least. I would say the year was a success in terms of what had happened, because you have to go year over year, right? Year over year, it absolutely was a success. It was a lot better than 2021. We saw the turnover that came from Keller's leadership in a very tough situation for Activision Blizzard as a whole, and a situation that we still don't know how it's going to develop with Microsoft's acquisition, potentially trying to be stopped by the FTC. So, I would say that it was good. I mean, I always want to have a hand in the door in Overwatch because I think that this game gives an experience that no other title that I've ever played does, and I love that style of play. But I would say, as I get older and want to pursue other things and other things interest me, I wish I had branched out a little bit more. But that's not necessarily a shot at the team. That's more so of where my personal interests lie and things I want to cover and things I enjoy, and me not being able to sit still and do one thing at a time. But yeah, I would say overall, it was definitely better, but it certainly, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10, maybe, strictly because I can't rate it higher than that based on the first 9 months.
Entirely fair. I like that. It's a very balanced summary. I want to take it to Flats next. Flats, I know you've experimented with other games as well, and you've spoken about Apex courting you in the past. Do you regret looking back at the year? Do you regret sticking with Overwatch where we are now? No.
It's actually funny. I actually have a very different philosophy for content, in that branching to a bunch of different games is actually 10 times harder than staying with one, because it's much harder to create communities around 6 different games than create a community around one game. Yeah, in the future, obviously, going variety would be amazing, but I think that's something that long term has to be I think Super right now is doing that. Super starts with Overwatch for 2, 3, 4 hours every day and then goes to variety, and it's trying to make that transition. I think that's probably the smartest way you can do it, because you start to introduce your core Overwatch audience to another game. But that's getting a little off track there. But looking at the year, I actually think we're a little hard on it, because if you look back at 2021, there was no lights in that tunnel. That tunnel was pitch black. There was nothing there until December, and we were doing more than fumble in the dark. We were running into walls. It was just double shield. There was no hope. There was no communication. Zero. Nothing at all. The best thing we got was those creator tournaments from which we had to do they were supposed to be April Fool's, and then everyone would get upset. It's why don't you make actual patches? And it's well, because we weren't supposed to make actual patches. They're supposed to be more fun. And the tournaments were fun, but they split the community between these people that are why aren't you doing these things? We were still at war with each other, but we were a high school at war with each other. There was nobody cared. There was nobody there. You know what I mean? It was a small town having a squabble. Nobody gives a shit about some small town in Virginia having a squabble. Nobody cares. But now, though, as the year has gone on, we had a lot of good moments. From the first beta, where a lot of people were really upset because it wasn't as much as they expected, but it was the first time Overwatch got back on the map, at least for a little bit, and we kind of saw what the potential of this game was. And that's why I decided not to leave. And that's why I decided just to reinvest myself in, not only have one YouTube or 2 or 3, but now 4, because I knew that Overwatch actually really did have potential long term. And even now, where it's really probably pretty painful, I still think that there's long term play, things are going to be fine. Just short term just sucks. It's not the best situation. But even beta 2, I think was great with they had the whole the gifted subs event for the break skin. There was a lot of problems with that, a lot of controversy, but it showed the Overwatch team was willing to try new things and try to not only support their creator economy, but also try to get these betas out and try to make sure that people were having fun with it. Now, of course, people were upset about there no being ranked mode, but let's look at the ranked mode now. Do you really think if we got that ranked mode back in those betas, that would have made a big difference? I argue people would have been more pissed. So they probably made the right call not putting a ranked mode out, because if that was the ranked mode, whoo, boy, people would have been real mad. So maybe they knew it wasn't going to be the right thing or the right game mode. And even now, it still feels really scuffed. Like, I think top 10 NA is all max SR or something like that. Like that. That's a whole different conversation we can get into later if we want. But as we get into the last half of the year, you know, that's September through December. I mean, I'm very lucky. I've been finding some good success with Overwatch 2. A lot of people have come to my stream and they want to like hear takes on things. They watch stream, and I've actually been really, really lucky to not even have to play comp all the time. I've actually just been kind of vibing, playing quick play, and I still play comp. If you actually look at my like season 35 or season 33 through 36, like the dead time of Overwatch 1, I actually play about as much ranked as I did then. So it's not honestly that much different, but I stream way more because I'm doing quick play and doing arcade and doing other stuff and just enjoying the game for what it is beyond just a competitive experience, because quite frankly, the competitive experience just sucks. Like it's not fun. But the game is good though. And I think that's the important thing, is the game is good and the game is fun, but I don't think it's fun for us anymore. I don't think it's really for us right now. But as a content creator, that's not bad, because there's always going to be content on the horizon. Every season, we're going to get new content. Every other season, we're going to get a new character, make content with a new character, play the new character, talk about the new characters, make all this stuff. Like career-wise, we're chilling. We're actually doing great. But if you're a hardcore competitive player, and Sam, I think this is where you fall in pretty heavily, is if you get really baited by that whole, like, I need to be the best rank 1. Literally, nobody gives a fuck who's rank 1 right now. Nobody cares. Who's rank 1 right now? I know the only reason I know rank 1 EU is Cloudy, because I saw his tweet about 15 minutes ago. Like, that's it. Yeah. Like, nobody knows. None of the new players care. What, there's 35 million new players? None of them care. All they care about is top 500. It's the highest rank in the game. That's all they look for. You put your videos top 500, your streams top 500, whatever it is. You're not like, you can't market yourself as rank 1 all the time. If you rank your, like, you're gonna fall. You have nowhere to go. Like, if you're in top 500, you can always sit in there. That's not a problem for any of, like, you know what I mean? Like, we'd sit there all day long. Been top 500 since like season 10. You know, like I basically have like 3 homes there at this point. Like, it's not something that really the new players care about. And I think that long term, you know, obviously people will become more competitive again with the game, but there's so many new players that just don't care. Like, they're not there yet. They're going to need like 6 to 8 months before they really get to the point where like they want to improve at the game. They're still just having fun. That it's still just the Overwatch 1 crowd that's in the really care about competitive and really care about high level and ranked and stuff like that. There is no new ranked GM players. They don't exist. Like, they're just like either players that used to play that have the SR system, something is like boosted them, and they get in those games because, like, you know, there's people put the screenshots all over Twitter of like plat players on their teams and stuff like that. But that's not new players. That's like Overwatch 1 players who like still played the game but weren't as good, and then they're getting pulled in. But that's the rank system being fucked up. There is no new players of that 35 million that are GM plus playing ranked. They don't care. They're just not there. So kind of going a long-winded rant here. Am I really that happy with how things are? No, but like, I think you said something right earlier, is like, we do feel probably like spoiled little kids at the moment. But there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with looking at something and wanting to improve it and wanting to always chase and be like, this could be better. This could be more fun. Like, this we could improve upon. This we could do this with. But in the same scope of things, we are a million times better off than where we were. As much as the rank system sucks and it isn't fun to play, nobody cared about who was rank 1 in Overwatch 1 anyways. Like, because there was nobody playing the game. You know, Overwatch 2, it's for a different story. Everyone's playing the game, but the rank system sucks. So it's like we traded the rank system for players. And like, there's a lot of things you could talk about there. Overall, though, I think if you're a content creator, especially if you don't fall into that trap of just hard grinding ranked and like trying to be the best of all time, you're in a very good spot, and this game will be very good to you. And I think it will have a future for a very, very long time. But right now, definitely is tough.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I want to elaborate on something you said there, which was that yeah, it's not fun, but the gameplay is a lot better, which is like, I think, a sentiment that I agree with. Like, I feel the same way, where I'm like, yeah, it's not necessarily as fun as I thought it would be, like the comp experience, but the gameplay is still great. And I've said that before on stream. People are like, what does that mean? How can you say that, SCP? How can you say that you're not having fun, but the gameplay is better? Well, I think it does come back to that rank thing. I don't want to dwell too much right now necessarily on the problems we're having, because obviously we're trying to look back to start with, but I think that also colors my hindsight on the year of 2022, because I think there's no doubt in my mind that what we have now is better than what we had then. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. And even when I'm super frustrated, when I'm super angry, when I'm tilted, I'm like, I can't believe these players I'm getting, I can't believe these games I'm getting, why is it so one-sided? Like, I don't even feel like I'm playing the game anymore. I feel like I'm playing a lottery. Even then, you still got to stop and reflect. No, well, at least it isn't, Overwatch 1 double shield. So there's definitely that element. And I think there's no game that will take my heart like Overwatch does. As much as, like, I think every content creator to some extent wants to be able to just turn up, play whatever game they want to play, and have a bunch of people still follow them, still watch their YouTube videos, still watch their Twitch stream, right? That's every content creator wants that. But still, I don't think there's another game that takes my heart, that makes me like addicted the way Overwatch does, that makes me want to keep coming back the next day. So I don't think for me personally, I would want to switch. I want to ask a question to Bogur. Like, we've kind of ruminated as content creators a little bit. I want to ask a question to Bogur, which is that we kind of started off this discussion talking about that early 2022 period when, again, content creators were on Twitter, were making YouTube videos saying Overwatch is going to be saved this year. And, again, we were all part of it. But you weren't part of that call, right? So you weren't part of the people tweeting hopium, as others might say. So I'm curious about your perspective. Like, as someone who's kind of, you're dedicated, you've been grinding Overwatch since the beginning, you've been dedicated to the community, you're kind of, 8 hours a day you're playing Overwatch, you're kind of watching that. How did it feel for you seeing all this, like, Overwatch is saved, and now, where we are now, like, how do you reflect on that moment of optimism in early 2022?
I'll be honest, I really hated it when everyone I'm not saying like anyone specifically. I know everyone got really excited because they got in the thing and Blizzard promised a lot of things. But I really, really despised how everyone hyped everyone, all the community. They, like, a lot of content creators hyped the community up without giving any context because they can't, which made a lot of the community really disappointed because they had their hopes way high up. I think the game is a lot better than before, except ranked. Ranked is dog. But I think the gameplay is really fun, and I like that we got new updates, but I genuinely feel like all of the hype that the content creators created on Twitter might have hurt the game a little bit, because it was nowhere near as insane as people were hyping it up. For example, there was a bunch of tweets or like YouTube videos from content creators saying, "Oh, this is the best battle pass ever. This is Blizzard has the best skins ever. This will be the most exciting thing ever." And I get it. People are farming, but it's not true. It's not the best battle pass ever. It's not, like, it's just silly, right? I don't like it. But I understand where it comes from, because at the end of the day, you're trying to farm content, you're trying to farm impressions. I just really disliked it personally. But me not being in the call and, like, no, not in the call, but in the meeting and stuff, and not actually experiencing all the things firsthand before it actually came out, I think I'm happy with it. I see a lot of people are really negative everywhere, and personally, I don't know. I was just sitting there chilling in London, just opening Twitter, and I just see people complain all the time. Like, the only thing I was wondering is, why are you sitting there playing ranked on New Year's Eve instead of, like, actually taking your time off? People are clearly burnt out from playing ranked all day long, because we have been grinding this game all day long for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 8 hours a day, and whatever update Blizzard actually comes up with, it will never be good enough for anyone, right? I personally think Overwatch 2 ranked is really bad, and, like, it's just not satisfying to play, but that probably is because Blizzard wants to focus on, the more casual players in general. And that's alright. When I started stealing Flat's strategy of playing quick play and swapping between quick play and ranked, I'll be honest, it's a lot more enjoyable, and it's a lot more fun, and it's a lot more relaxing than sitting in a 7-hour queue and trying to get a game and get some random guy insta-locking hog against me because he wants to win. It's not like it doesn't happen in quick play, but I just don't care about it when it happens in quick play. And to be honest, I'm not even joking, quick play matches are more competitive than ranked. I don't know what to say. Like, it genuinely is like that. It's crazy to me. So I think people should chill a bit, and just try to enjoy the game a bit. I understand people that want to really grind ranked and really like compete. I really like doing that as well, but I don't think Blizzard cares about us. I'll be honest. I don't think they care about the tier 2 scene. I think they've shown that, and about the pro scene in general. I think they care about people that are really competitive. As Flat said, being rank 1, nobody cares. I see people post their rank 1 tweets. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The tweets always get like 200 likes. Meanwhile, I just say Winton on Twitter, I get 5k likes or 10k, right? Like, nobody cares. And I think it says a lot because I think the community doesn't really revolve around the competitive aspect of the game. I think Overwatch is really fun when it's competitive, when it's like a tournament or something, like the streamer tournament we had recently. It was extremely fun to compete in. It's just not
Depends on where you were on that one.
Yes, true. I thought didn't have fun, I guess, but I had fun. I had fun. I also had fun winning it. God bless. Anyways, what I was trying to
There's
say
a
is
common
it's
theme of
fun
money
when the
equals
game.
Bogur's fun goes up.
Yes, it's fun when both teams are really competitive and you know everyone, and everyone wants to win. But ranked isn't that, and I guess it's time to accept it. And I do think they're really gonna hurt their game long term if they don't actually make any changes to ranked. To be honest, that I do want to point that out, even if they're focusing on the casual aspect, because they're losing a lot of people that want to grind the game really hardcore. But it's their choice. Well, whatever. And
There's,
what?
so I was gonna say there's like an interesting theme forming here, which is kind of to summarize perhaps, and you correct me if I'm wrong. About what you're saying, it's kind of like, firstly, our expectations were oversold in a way, potentially by us content creators. We kind of oversold to like what was coming, when ultimately what was delivered was a work in progress, right? It's like Overwatch 2 is not there. It's not what maybe in 6 months, 8 months, it'll be a much cleaner, better version of itself. But right now it's not there, so we kind of almost oversold ourselves, and we were like, it's gonna be great, and then it was very underwhelming, so we felt disappointed. Plus,
well,
a shift overall, and Flats, feel free to finish this thought, but a shift overall from Overwatch 1 towards the end was like only competitive players, right? It was only hardcore competitive players who still cared and played the game. Now, Overwatch 2, it's mostly casual players who don't care about it. So that like, we've almost had whiplash from the like 180 of like going from a game where the only people who's like were involved were tryharding all the time, and now it's like that's punished. Like you're the idiot for tryharding all the time. Go ahead, Flats.
Trying to figure out how I can answer this without being sued. Because I'm not saying anything was said, but like that was such a dark time that even if we had only been told, which I'm not saying is what it was or was not, I'm not saying anything. This is purely speculative and hypothetical. If they had only even just said games going free to play, we all would have went bananas because that was one of the biggest things people wanted. Think about that. So I think that looking back, it's really easy to go, well, look, like they hyped up really hard. And true, I agree. But even if we were told that everyone was getting creator codes and you're all making 10K plus a month minimum just for streaming 15 hours, and then there's bonuses built in, no matter what, I feel like people would look back and go, yeah, that was overhyped, And it's like, I understand it. I don't disagree with it. I actually think you're correct. But I don't think we're ever going to fix it at this point. It's kind of like, it's just dead and gone. We got to move past it at this point. There's like, nobody can really say anything why or why not. Nobody, like, the best that can happen is like, yeah, probably people shouldn't have said anything, but at the time people were so excited because it could have been even the smallest thing, because we were all in the dark age of Overwatch 1 playing Double Shield in like season 32, and like you were the biggest thing to look forward to where you were getting the golden Moira spray. Like that was the big thing of the year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I hear that, but at the same time, though, it's like, God, I feel like looking back at that and be like, well, this isn't that much, but at the time, that would have actually been a lot. You know what I mean? So I hear it, but I feel like that conversation is never going to win or lose, no matter what. I feel it's something we got to move past at this point.
I agree with you. I understand your like why people reacted this way and why they were so excited about it. I would have probably been really excited as well if I was there, because I'll be honest, I've been playing Orisa for the last 3 years in Overwatch 1. My brain was melting, right? I wasn't having a good time, so any kind of update or anything that like if I was told about anything that was coming to Overwatch 2 and when Overwatch 2 was coming out or whatever they told you, I would also be really excited. And I don't blame you. I don't think Overwatch 2 is dying. I don't think Overwatch 2 is dead. I don't think whatever issues Overwatch 2 has is with any because of any content creator. Obviously, I don't think content creators have that much power. And I just think it was I think it was just premature to celebrate. I feel like it's like a kid getting a really hyped toy for Christmas. No, a kid getting promised a PlayStation and instead getting like PlayStation, and they get a PlayStation 3 for Christmas. You know what I mean? Like people were just really people were just really excited because they were promised a lot of things, and maybe these things will come in the long term. And I understand you, and I agree with you, and I understand everyone's hype. Just SVB asked me as an outsider what I think, and that's what I thought. It was just silly. It was silly, and it's fine. I don't think it's your fault, guys. People happy.
Thank you, Bogur, for absolving us of all blame. I mean, I think the other part of it is that we are a bit of a niche community, because like whatever we may say and do on Twitter and even on our YouTube and Twitch videos is like a fraction of, again, the people who have played Overwatch 2. So it is a tiny ripple in the pond. In our little world, it means a lot, but in the wider scheme, obviously Overwatch 2's success will speak for itself, and I think that will, again, it will more be told as the game shapes itself in a way that it actually wants to, right? As we get, when they finally sort out the rank system, because even they are saying, look, we're figuring out the matchmaking, it's tough, we don't know how to handle people's MMR. They'll figure that out, they get the PvE coming. They actually need to get into like the groove of their release cycle, right? Because we've kind of had 2 seasons, but it was like content they probably already had. We need to actually now see how they adapt to future seasons. So all that will come, and the success will go as it is. But I want to pose an interesting question to my man Samito, because we've been talking, so I know how Samito feels. But there's a growing sentiment in the Overwatch community right now that kind of miss Overwatch 1. They kind of miss some aspects of Overwatch 1, and in particular stuff like 6v6. Some people have even heard say, maybe we needed a few more CCs. Maybe that was okay. And I know this is something you've been dancing with as well. So is there a part of you looking back that misses Overwatch 1?
There's a part of me who's curious about 6v6 versus 5v5. So I think I've pinned down what it is. I think that 5v5 is better for a casual game. It just is. I think that it's easier to get into. It's less overwhelming, right? But as a competitive player who's attempting to change the mindset, that's my big goal for this year, is to kind of get away from that. Like, obviously, like, still be a competitor, but like, after competing, you're just so used to hammering it in your head, because you have to do this if you want to continue to improve. It's like, you've got to be the best. You got to do this. You're in the competitive mentality. It's very hard to flip that switch on and off, especially for me. I think that 5v5 is better for that casual scene, but I can't help but wonder. I did some viewer games in 6v6, and the tank synergies were so much fun, and that kind of took me back and had me thinking. I wonder what would happen if 6v6 was a thing in this game. I'm not sold on it because there's a lot to think about. But I would definitely love to see some kind of viewer games or streamer games or some kind of experiment with just what 6v6 was. To be honest, like, I don't even know if it's really worth having like an in-depth conversation about it, right? Because it really depends on the direction. I think there's just a bigger bucket list of things that need to be checked off for the game. But I actually had a lot of fun like playing Doom Rhine and like comboing with my Reinhardt playing Doom and just stuff. Like, it was a part of Overwatch that I wasn't able, that you just can't capture in Overwatch 2 that you couldn't Overwatch 1. That was the fun part of Overwatch 1, because I think the bad part of Overwatch 1 was just really double shield and the AoE healing. It wasn't necessarily a lot of the CCs, which were annoying, But I think we can all kind of agree that like what put everyone over the edge was like the double shield or the brig or like the AoE healing. That was what was so infuriating for a lot of people. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to say about 6v6. I think SPB would be a fun video for you to do some kind of like 6v6 streamer pug, just see what would happen. I did miss those tank synergies. I did miss that, like the combos. And I think most importantly, and this is something that, why I've been a little bit more frustrated with the game and going to play it more casually. I think there's a lot of heroes that required on the enable of two tanks to compete with the top end counterpart of their role. I would say right now, there has not been this big of a disparity between the top hero in a given role and the bottom hero of a given role, especially in the DPS role, and then like ever before. Because like right now, what's so frustrating to me is like I don't feel like my characters are rewarding to play at all. The most rewarding characters that are in my hero pool right now, I think, are Junk and Torb, and I'm just kind of sitting in the back, just spamming down a choke, and I'm like, dude, like this is corny. Like at least in comp, because like I could play Sojourn, I could play like even Ashe. Echo is very iffy because copy is really bad, and she really only benefited from the DPS passive, which then was changed to only be reload, which like her move speed was the main thing that like let me force her as much into the previous meta, which was better for her. And I just haven't found a character specifically in this patch that I feel adequately rewarded for like what I'm putting in terms of the degree of difficulty of what I'm doing. And I think that's more of a personal thing for me and not a big picture objective truth of the game. But I also want to play Ana, and it's like, well, Kiriko is still, again, you see it in the sport world too, where like, they're talking about having to rework Brig, But I think, actually, I think you might see it in the tank role too. The disparity between a hero. I mean, I know Bowie's hit rank 1 on Ryan and Cloudy did too. But I'm curious what your all's thoughts are. Do you guys think the disparity between the bottom end hero of the role of a given role and the top end is as big as I think it is? Or do you think I'm incorrect on that one? And if so, why?
Hello guys, SCB here. Just want to quickly interrupt this episode of the Group Up Podcast to say that if you've been enjoying this content, then please do consider supporting me directly via Patreon. It really does help, since Patreon only takes about 10% of your money, where YouTube and Twitch take 40 and 50% respectively. So it supports me and allows me to keep making videos no matter how many views they do or don't get. Also, if you are really enjoying this discussion, then why not consider watching some of my other content? First and foremost, my Twitch stream where this podcast is hosted live, and I stream 5 days a week doing a bunch of other things as well. If you're not much of a Twitch viewer, then you can check out the SVB side channel, where all the best bits from the stream go straight to YouTube in highlight format, including VOD reviews, gameplay, and streamer formats such as the Fantasy Overwatch or Rank Gauntlet that you may have seen other streamers participate in. And finally, if you're sick of Overwatch, then you could check out my other channel, The Soak, which is where I do movie and TV breakdowns. And I've done videos on things like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Pixar's Up, and anime like Haikyuu. So if any of that sounds up your street, then all the links are in the description. But now, back to the discussion. Okay, I'll try and, because there's a lot I want to chime in off Sam's rant there, which is that I think, ironically, a lot of what was promised in Overwatch 2 is not what Overwatch 2 actually manifested as, right? Like, I want to kind of elaborate this thought a little bit. One is the counterpicking element, and you can play whatever hero you want, right? That was one of the things that was sold in Overwatch 2, was like, in Overwatch 2, we hate that you guys in Overwatch 1, like there was one hero that you had to pick and it defined everything, Brig. Or sometimes like, double shield or BAP, whatever it was, right? Like that was Overwatch 1. It was like, you pick these heroes, you win. And they were like, we're going to fix that in Overwatch 2. And then you get to Overwatch 2 and I feel like that's just not the case at all. Like it actually feels like, I think it's just a compounding factor of many things. And I think one of the things that I was realizing the other day, I kind of have an epiphany. I was playing on Colosseo, and Colosseo is a terrible map, first and foremost, but there's that long sight line down the middle when you first grab the ball, right? There's that long sight line down the middle. And I was realizing the other day, I was like, I think what people are missing about this Overwatch 1 experience is that there are certain things that allow you to like actually just exist in the game, shields, that currently in Overwatch 2 are absent, and so certain things dominate, which is, I think, basically one-shots, and specifically long-range one-shots, right? I think there's been a growing sentiment again. People are upset about one-shots and they want one-shots removed. And obviously Hog is annoying as fuck. Don't get me wrong. Delete Hog. But I think like when I was playing in that Colosseo game, I was like, okay, I'm playing Ana. I have two options here. Because they have a Widowmaker and they have a Hanzo, or that in a different scenario it might be an Ashe, or it might be a Sojourn, or it might be a Kiriko's throwing kunai. It doesn't really matter what it is. All it is the character is standing across the map from me, all the way max range, and they're aiming down the one corner they know I'm going to come. And whether it's like a scope in or a projectile, that they're just spamming at this one spot, right? I have no options now. Basically, my options, well, I have options. My options are A, play at an angle where I'm basically hiding and only looking at my tank and just spamming heals up his butt. If I want to interact with the enemy team, I peek out, boom, head blown off. I can't kill them at the same time they can kill me. Rip to me. Or my other option is do a risky cross, hope they miss, hope they aren't looking. I don't know if they're looking, but I had to hope they're not looking, and potentially just get one shot, right? In Overwatch 1, if we had Colosseo, you'd walk up with your Risa Sigma, one of them would drop a shield, potentially both of them would just drop a shield, and now you set up behind the shields, and I guess the better feeling is that you at least exist in the game. You're at least able to participate. But then we get into an existential crisis. What is the point of existing in a game where your just job is to shoot the other guy's shields, right? If shields allow you to exist, only to exist to shoot other shields, what is the point of that? So I feel like there are things that were supposed to be gone, that were supposed to be liberating in Overwatch 2. The idea that we can do more, we can make more plays. Well, certain characters can make more plays. If you're Sojourn, if you're Widowmaker across the map, you can make more plays. But then the existence of something like that means that everybody else can't do shit. Like, you just can't contest it, right? There's nothing you can physically do. And there's too many of these things, I think, that in Overwatch 2 manifest themselves as there's nothing you can do in a different way to what it was in Overwatch 1. In Overwatch 1, it was like, they picked this comp, there's nothing you can do. Or they picked this hero, there's nothing you can do. They pick Brig, you can't now exist as Tracer or sometimes Winston, right? There's nothing you can do. Now it's like, you can walk onto the field, but there's a Widowmaker on a certain sideline, Sojourn on a certain sideline, and God forbid she has a Mercy Pocket. There's nothing you can do. So I feel like we've shuffled the pack around a little bit, and we haven't delivered what was necessarily sold. But I can see why people are grasping at that, like, oh, well, at least if we had shields, we would have been able to fight the Sojourn. Yeah, but she would also had 2 shields, so you'd just be sat shooting her shields, and it'd be like a different problem now, right? So that's, I feel like that's partly what it is. And again, to finish my point before I get Flats or Bogur to chime in, to your question, Sam, about like the hero disparity, I think that's only gotten worse in Overwatch 2, because I think here's what, again, a sentiment I've been feeling is that I think actually one player playing worse or one player playing badly on your team is worse in Overwatch 2 than it was in Overwatch 1. Like, if you're 4v5 effectively because one guy keeps feeding his brains out, that is harder to overcome in Overwatch 2 than if it was basically a 5v6 in Overwatch 1. And that's created this compounding frustration of, like, if you have a guy, if they're running, let's say, Sojourn Mercy again, and they're farming you, and you have your other DPS who's just like, I don't know, sniffing glue in the back, like, it's almost impossible to make up that deficit. Which, again, we were promised, oh, in 5v5 you can clutch more. You sort of can, but also the guy can throw more. So, like, well, yeah. we've negated that benefit, right? So I'm curious. I'll take it to Flats. Flats, like, go off on anything that's been said.
So I'll start with the disparity first. I agree and disagree. I think it depends on who you're talking about. So, like, Jonker Queen's a good example. It's like kind of butt cheeks, but also like not like I like there's like, I feel like she's just like kind of unplayable, like against like 99% of the roster, but like there's always that magic time where you can play her, and I can't figure out what it is. Like some like it's like it's basically dependent on what your team picks and their team picks, and it's like, oh, okay, now I can play this character. But like there's half the other rest of the roster doesn't have that at all. Like even Roadhog, right? Like let's say they pick Ana and you have Roadhog. Oh, yeah, I don't care. I'll still play Roadhog. I'm not scared of an Ana no more because you have Kiriko and you're good to go. And there's definitely a lot of like things with that. And I guess the biggest disparity I can think of is like Sojourn and like Sombra is probably the biggest one I could probably think of. So I would definitely, I'd agree with you there. But at the same time though, in Overwatch 1, and I don't know if this would change if you change the passive, but counterpicking tanks was not like a thing, or like not as much. Sorry, like not as much of a thing. So like you had your standard default, which was double shield for like the last, let's say like the last like 2.5 years of the game. You had your standard pick of double shield, and then you had map based picks. So like on Gibraltar, you'd play like some Winston Diva or Winston Ball or Ball Diva. on most points. And on third, if you ran into some trouble, you could go back double shield. And like every map, you had like slightly different things you could run. I don't think there's a map-based tank meta as much anymore. It's just this like rock, paper, scissors bullshit. That like basically if I walk out on Winston, you win the fight on Winston, they go hog. And then, well, now you're gonna go die, go back to spawn, and then you go Orisa. And then when you go Orisa, then they swap to either Orisa themselves, or they go Winston, or they go Ramach, like, you know, or Sigma. Like they go something different that, like, depending on the map, might work against that comp. So I kind of agree. It does, the disparities definitely feel there. But I don't know. I don't think it's the same way. I don't think it's I don't think it's as bad as like every character's unplayable. If that was like kind of like the thing, is like some characters just completely unplayable. I think there's characters that were like hardcore slept on, like Junkrat. Junkrat was like really slept on at the beginning of Overwatch 2 and ended up probably being, I would argue Junkrat is as good. Like, sorry, I would argue Junkrat is probably like second or third best CPS in the game, like behind Sojourn. Like, actually, I think Junkrat's that good. But there was a second part of that question as well, the disparity, and then there was it like the one shots.
That was what I mentioned. That's not necessarily Sam's question, but yeah, I spoke about them.
I think for me it was just disparity between the characters, and for me personally, do you feel like your heroes, like across the board, like you can pick a character and it can feel rewarding to play? Because like for me, like I feel like some of the heroes are still like under, like I feel like Genji got shafted. I think Echo got shafted with the passive. I think Hanzo, like I unbound Storm Arrow because I shoot. It's like a dubstep concert every time I shoot. I can't even.
Whenever they get fixed, that'll get fixed though. That's a bug though. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's been a bug for weeks. Shots in the body.
It is ridiculous.
They were on vacation, guys. Like, it's the same thing about talking about the holidays and talking about comp.
I get it, but it was
holiday thing. I didn't say that.
It was before the holidays were even a thing. I get it. I understand it, but like, it's been there for quite some time. It's not like we just recently found out about it, right?
No, absolutely not. But like, you got also like, I think that there's a decision that was made in the development process, and I want to say this like because it's actually very important. Like, I have been dogging on them for the last 2 months, but that hotfix before Christmas was very important because it was one of the first times they have deviated away from the wait and see. We got to collect some data. We got to make sure everything's good. No, they went, all right, we're leaving next week. There's no way we leave this game like this for the next 3.5 weeks and people are happy. So what were the big problems? Sojourn was a big problem. Hog was a big problem. What they said for Sojourn, which still kind of shows a little bit of a misunderstanding, but like we're going to get there eventually, was the nerf to the spread. Didn't tackle the problem of the one-shot railgun. That's the big problem, and hopefully we can come back around to that. But it was something, and it I'll give you that. But the Roadhog one was good. The Roadhog counter was good. Buffing Orisa, like buffing the absolute shit out of Orisa, was awesome. Because now you actually do have an answer to Roadhog. Orisa really shuts him down. Which like, you know, Orisa could kind of do some stuff before, but not nearly as strong as she is now. And then also the Ramatra changes made the new character a lot more fun. So you kind of had a new character to play in that rock, paper, scissors rotation for the last few weeks. In Ramatra, Hog wasn't as oppressive because you had a way to deal with him, and like it made the game better for the last few weeks. They never really did that in the past. They always wait and see. But they went, here you go. We're gonna give you this right away. We'll see you in a couple weeks when we get back, and we'll talk about the Roadhog stuff then. But like, I think that's something that should be looked at in a positive light. That they kind of deviated from the old Blizzard way to listen to the community. I think that's a good thing. And the Hanzo thing, I think they had to make a choice. Do we fix the Hanzo bug or do we make a patch for this, you know?
So
all I'm saying is if it doesn't get fixed anytime soon, I'm going to have a mental breakdown. Okay?
It's true.
There's no way to fix.
I will also add that they did say that it takes them like 2 weeks, even after they've locked in a patch, for it to actually go, just because of technical, how it works with consoles. Like they have to lock in a patch before. 2 weeks. Is that before? That was before.
So
their hotfix system was broken. In season one. That's what Alex. So Alex talked about that when I had him on. In season 1, the reason why they didn't patch fast to fix the Sojourn problem was that they had a complication on the first the first patch, like before Halloween on the 25th, and that's what pushed it back because they had to wait another 2 weeks to get it through
Right.
consoles,
Fair.
right? So then that fix was that. But then, and once they fixed the hotfix system, now they can update much quicker. That's online now in season 2. But they just got that back online. Like they were supposed to have that for season 1. So like if you look at the timeline, season 2 launches. It's not what we want. They've used the hotfix system for the first time right before the Christmas patch, and then they went away. So like we've only seen one hotfix patch so far. And this is a whole system that we haven't got to see them use. So I think the Hanzo bug probably is something that needs like a full patch, I would assume.
Yeah.
Because the hotfixes are typically like damage number ranges. So like, for example, shotgun pellets going from 5 to 6 damage or something like that. Like they can change numbers, but not animations or fix animation bugs. So I'm sure that'll be like a longer patch type of deal. But the hotfix is very different. And I feel like as much as I want to dog on them for the bad stuff, like I can't in good faith do that because like there's really a lot of potential there. And if they use this system, it could be really good. If they don't use the system, well then GG's.
I'm gonna agree and disagree with you there. I think it is good that we're seeing hot fixes. I don't trust them to make good patches. But I want to elaborate on the Sojourn changes too, because I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea. I don't think Sojourn is going to be in a fair state until they put her railgun on a cooldown like Helix Rocket. I think that the patch and the hotfix, and granted it was before Christmas, right? Like it's not the one shot of the rail, it's how she builds it. And I just want to say this too. They specifically said that, and I think everything else around Sojourn was good, but I think the Sojourn patch was a complete whiff. They specifically said that they were scared to nerf Sojourn in season 1. Obviously there were the hotfix issues too, so we'll give it season 2, right? Because they were nervous about making her worse for low rank players, and like still, like you guys get what I mean. They don't want to dumpster it for low rank players because it's too good at high level play. They specifically said that, and in the way that they changed it in the hotfix patch, did the opposite. It made it harder for low rank players to put out damage because what makes her so good at high level play is her mobility option and the fact that the high SR players are comboing the rail shot with her primary fire. It's the combo where it's 2 heroes in one that makes it so OP and way easy to use. That'd be like the comparison I make is like if Soldier built a Helix Rocket that could crit off of just shooting his gun. And I think until they change that, and it can be a low cooldown too. It can be like a 4-second cooldown if you need it to be. Absolutely. But like, I want to get it out there to them. I don't think this hero will go away until that rail is like actually put on a cooldown, because it's gonna get gutted in low level play. Like the low SR average casual player is gonna lose the most from the spread changes because the high SR players are just able to combo the slide. They can slide in up close and just instantly just murk somebody, right? Low SR players aren't able to do that. So, like, if this doesn't work for Sojourn, which I think it's pretty clear that it hasn't, I would really consider putting that rail. I would revert the spread, put the rail on a CD, and look to maybe increase the slide cooldown or something like that, so she's actually, like, punishable by more characters with mobility, and that more immobile, quote-unquote, power DPS, the ones that have less mobility options but still have that powerful Soldier, Ashe, Hanzo, Cassidy, right? The list goes on. That would help those heroes be more competitive, but I'd be very careful. Like, I don't want to see like a straight up nerf necessarily. I'd like to see like that fundamental get changed because she can just continuously combo 1-2 taps. It's like, what is Junk's 2-tap combo? Because that's why he's so good. Like, the best heroes are the ones that can instantly just go boom and kill something, right? Sojourn can do that at a rate way faster than most DPS in the game, aside from like Widow. But do we know ballpark what Junk's mind cooldown is? Like 6 seconds or something, like 5 seconds?
You'd be best place to know. You're the J Silly.
Yeah, I've been getting silly. I won't lie. But it's ballpark 5-6 seconds. But if you're playing against a hog or a tank, the Sojourn has it like every 2 or 3. So I like putting a kind of a cap on that would, I don't think it would hurt the hero too much, but it also wouldn't dumpster it for the low SR players who just can't really do that anyway.
I mean, we can definitely talk about Sojourn, and we'll come eventually towards the end as we catch up in the year. We'll get to season 1 and then the start of season 2. So we can elaborate more then. I want to take it back to the initial discussion point with Bogur because you haven't had Bogur's thoughts on this. Which is a Burger. We've heard. I'm sure you've heard as well the growing sentiment of like 6v6 was better. You know, there's a lot about Overwatch 1 that was better. How do you feel about
Nothing
Overwatch
makes
1?
me. I get that people might be missing like some aspects of Overwatch 1. I get that because people have different opinions and tastes, and there's certain aspects that were better in Overwatch 1. But there's nothing that makes me more angry than people that just want Overwatch 1 back. It makes no sense. Like I was there every day for 10 hours plus. I watched streams. I I consumed some content here and there, and I talked to streamers and content creator. There was nothing more miserable than an Overwatch Twitch streamer last year and the year before. It was peak
True.
misery. I know how it was. I know what I was, and I've seen the players and I've seen the streamers, and everyone hated it. Okay, the thing is now Overwatch 2 has some issues, and people are putting on their rose-colored glasses, right? And the thing is, when you look through those rose-colored glasses at all of the red flags from Overwatch 1, they all look like flags, and everyone just forgets all of the issues Overwatch 1 had. It was so bad, it was so miserable, and I hated it. Personally, Overwatch 2 gameplay is so much better, right? It is better. Yes, the shop is people don't get free shit and everyone's angry. Deal with it. I don't care. I don't care about the shop. If you want to get all of the things, go get them. Okay, do whatever. I don't care. Like, it's not my problem, you know? Like, I get it. You want it. I don't give a shit. I personally just don't give a single fuck. It's like, that is not the most important part of Overwatch 2. Ranked sucks. I get it. But hey, we're getting updates. We're getting heroes. We're getting maps. We're getting fun events. I'm all up for it. We have, like, we as streamers are getting way more viewers. We're getting like way more viewers on YouTube, way more views on Twitch, on TikTok. I've been growing a lot more, and that just says that there's a lot more casual players coming in. And this will also grow a lot when the PvE comes out, right? I get that people are really dissatisfied, and I'm really dissatisfied with ranked, but I've just decided to move on from it, right? There's no point about complaining. There's no point in complaining about it all the time, right? I think anyone that plays the game all the time is just gonna burn out anyways, right? But hey, I'm making a shit ton of money from it, and I'm really happy about it.
He's actually ascending before our very
This
eyes.
is straight up,
Yes.
straight facts.
I literally make a video called Winton, and I get like 5 times the viewership I usually get on YouTube. So I'm happy about it. And about the disparity between heroes, right? I think it sucks because heroes like Mei and Sombra are just dog shit. So people like Fitzy are really suffering right now because
He's not even streaming Overwatch.
he doesn't even stream Overwatch anymore, right? And I think that
No.
sucks a lot. I think that, like, before in Overwatch 1, you could play any hero. I promise you could play any hero and get whatever the fuck rank you want. It didn't matter. I don't know if it was because of the the small amount of players or whatever. You could play anything and you can climb as high as you want. In Overwatch 2, the difference between Soldier and Mei/Sombra is insane. It's ridiculous. Like, Mei and Sombra are so bad. It is absolutely crazy. And Fitzy and other people that like playing these heroes, I feel like they've been shoved aside and nobody cares about them. And I think that sucks. I know those heroes are really annoying, but some people have built, a connection. Some people have built an identity around these heroes, and those heroes are terrible. So these people are having a horrible time, and I think something needs to be done about it. I don't think I don't think it should be like that. I don't think these heroes should be as terrible as they are. And I know what should be done. It's not my job to figure it out. Blizzard, I'm sure you have a huge team. You pay them thousands of dollars. So figure it out, okay? But I know it's a problem, and I hate to see it. For the tank row, I'll be honest. Seeing Cloudy and Bowie get rank 1, Giga Chad. God bless, right? But not everyone can do it. All it feels like is if you go a certain tank, and then they just decide that, no, you're going to lose the game now, and go. That's it. You have to start counter-swapping. You can still force and win, but you're going to have a miserable time. And I think that sucks a lot. I think it sucks a lot. I really hate starting the game on for example, Junker Queen and having a great time, and they're playing Junker Queen themselves or some fun tank, and they start losing the swap and they start winning, and then I need to swap and they start losing, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I don't think anyone really likes it. Some people go like, "Oh, Overwatch was always about counter swapping." Shut the fuck up, okay? Shut the fuck up. I get it, but I get it in competitive scene where you're playing tournaments and stuff. Not in rank. It's just not fun. I don't enjoy it. I don't think many people enjoy it. I don't think anyone enjoys just going back to spawn and always swapping just to counter pick instead of just outplaying the enemy tank. Because before you could you play Winston against a Reinhardt and you do this and you can block shatter with bubble and you can dodge this and you have a lot of things you can do to outplay the enemy tank with a different tank character. But now the best choice is to just counter swap them because they're just gonna lose the game instantly. But to go back to all the people that the initial question, as I said, I understand people. But some people on Twitter have the dumbest takes ever when I read their tweets, and it really makes me angry because those people, I've seen how depressed they were during Overwatch 1. There's no way you want Overwatch 1 back. There's no way you want it back. I know you don't want it back. I know you're missing. You miss certain aspects of Overwatch 1, and I wish we had them back as well. Maybe like on fire, the old rank system, and stuff like that. But overall, I promise you that you don't want Overwatch 1 back. None of us want Overwatch 1 back. Okay, that is my opinion about the whole thing. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
Thank you for your fantastic TED Talk, Bogur. Actually, I realized that because before I went live with this podcast, I was looking through every patch notes this last year, basically, and I spotted something that made me just kind of like shake my head a little bit. I figured out where they found their inspiration for the 30% ult swap thing, which is that I think in September of this year, or I think it was September, I read the patch note said fixed a bug that caused 30% ult charge to transfer during control games. So I was like, oh my fucking god. It was a control bug that they just looked at and they were like, this is really good for the fucking game. Yeah, I think they should go for everything. So I was just like, eye roll moment. I won't rant about that because I have ranted that since day one, so I don't want to rant about that. I will
have my mind blown again.
Samito, that emote, everyone just spamming that emote in my chat still. It's a great emote, man. The Samito woke emote. The Samito woke. But to go back to Bogur's point, another aspect. So I know, Sam, you were saying maybe we can organize some 6v6 pugs or something. I hosted on this Sunday. I hosted a crossplay challenge. I'm sure something you're interested in as well, Sam, to see how.
I did that once. Yeah, it was funny to watch, but it was not balanced at all.
Well, yeah, this time now that I have aim assist, I put some console players against PC players. Maybe the aim assist will make a difference. Sadly, it didn't. PC went 7-0. We had silver. We had a silver lobby. We had 2 gold lobbies and 3 plat lobbies, and then we redid a rematch as well. PC won 7-0. So it wasn't even really close. There was one game that was very close between goals, but the rest of it was pretty one-sided. But at one of the games, we put them on Hanamura to see how I would do. And it was as tragic as you will ever fucking remember it, dude. This is what happened. The PC team were sweating tryhard. They went Symmetra. They ran to the choke. They teleported straight on the point. The console players had no idea what to do. They disintegrated. Did the same fucking thing on second point. They TP'd over that gap on Hanamura. They ran straight on the point. Console team disintegrated. Comes time for the console team to attack. They walk up to the choke. They're running like Reinhardt. They tried their own Symmetra. They failed. They couldn't drop the teleporter properly. They run Reinhardt. And then they just spent 4 minutes standing at that choke point. Just 4 straight minutes standing there as people were just spamming shit at that choke point at them. Every time the Reinhardt would walk up, his shield would break. He'd run back. One of his teammates would think it was go button. He'd try and run past. He'd fucking get melted. He's probably flaming his team in voice chat. And just 4 minutes of them standing at the Hanamura choke. And I was just at that moment, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, J3. There's just no way this mode will ever work. This is the fundamental problem. People will just never fucking learn. People will never fucking learn how to get through the choke on 2CP maps. It's not going to happen. And I think that's one of those things where it's as time goes by, you can start to forget how miserable it was. If your team, if your tank was just fucking AFK at the choke and you're just stood there, you're like, there's nothing I can do. Again, it's that feeling must be taken away. You should never be in a game where you're like, there's nothing I can do about this. And that's exactly what will happen. Just because time has passed, we might think, maybe 2CP will be all right. No, fam. That is never gonna be a good idea.
I just insta-mute anyone that says they want TCP back, I'll be honest.
So you muted Jay.
Yeah, of course. That was the first guy I muted. What do you mean?
So there's the bring 2CP back movement. The 6v6. And to respond quickly, Sam, to your suggestion as well about hosting pugs. I mean, I could host pugs. Here's my feeling about it, though. The thing is that you host pugs for anything, and they're going to be way more fun than a normal game anyways,
Yeah, that's
right?
fair.
Like
It's
if I
crazy,
host
like,
5v5
stacking with
pugs,
people is fun. Like, I can't
yeah,
believe
it's
that.
crazy, isn't it? Overwatch is so fun when you're doing like stuff with friends and all trying hard and all communicating.
We're not doing
Quick
it.
play.
No, we're not gonna
Answer.
go there. But you know, I could
Go to
host
quick
6v,
play.
I could host 6v6 pugs, and you know everyone would have a blast. But you know that would be for anything. So I think we're better off going for something constructive. And to that end, the other aspect of the movement of bring back Overwatch 1 is this loot box thing. I feel like everyone's forgotten about loot boxes, and everyone's like, bring back loot boxes. Loot boxes were the way. So Flats, how do you feel about overall as well? Not just loot boxes, but overall as well. The monetization system, we're now free to play. Looking back, any part of your hindsight that thinks maybe Overwatch 1 had it right?
Well, as a connoisseur, I've started the loot box player icon movement. One of its founding members, I will say that the monetization system of Overwatch 2 is not good, but the loot box system was like, there's a reason why everyone wants it back, and nobody wants to say the reason they want it back, but the reason they want it back is because nobody fucking bought them. You know why we never bought them? Because you could get everything for free easy by just playing the game. You know what happens when you make stuff and it's always free and you end up never making any money off of it? People don't want to make it anymore because it's not making them any money anymore. That's why our game died. Our game made no money. When a game makes no money, it goes out of business. But then they go, but Flats, Activision Blizzard has a bunch of money. Yeah, because all of their games make them money. You can't have one game fall apart and make no money, and then you know what happens? You become StarCraft. Like that's where you go. You go in the StarCraft bin. You get sent away. So like, I feel you. I think there's a lot of predatory things. I think that there shouldn't be a hero in the Battle Pass. Overall, though, I think the Battle Pass is still really good. I still stand by that to this day. Like the stuff that's in the Battle Pass is good. Like the mythic skin being $10 at the end of the Battle Pass. I don't think you understand. In other games, those items are somewhere in between like $100 and $500 for customizable items such as that. And Overwatch kind of threw that out the window. So like having the mythic Genji skin is really not that impressive. Like everyone has it just about. So it's like, oh, whatever. So like they could have went the super exclusive whale farming route, but they didn't. And I think that's something to be kind of like commended a little, because it's very tempting for game studios to do that. Now, granted, they definitely still probably get enough from the whales by having 1900 coin skins every week. And like, fuck, did you ever see that Moira one where it's literally just a recoloring of the Moira skin and it was 1900? I'm like, yeah, well, what in the fuck are you guys doing over there? So like, I don't think there's somebody back there that's like, okay, this skin's probably worth about this much. No, they're just like, just everything gets a price tag. Here you go. Yeah, here we go. And then there's like the fake bundle percentages you're saving. All that is dog shit. Don't get me wrong. I've talked about it a million times. I don't really feel like I have to go through it that much because I've talked about it so much at this point. But everyone that wants loot boxes back wants them back for the same reason. Nobody bought them. You can't have a game that's free to play and it makes no money and you expect it to still have content. The reason we're going to get consistent content and the game is going to live for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years plus was dependent on however the PvE comes out and however that content is structured and however that content is monetized, whether it's like a one-time package or if it's like every couple seasons there's like an expansion, kind of like Destiny does it or something like that. Like there is multiple ways that they need to monetize, and it keeps putting more content out for us, which is a good thing. Like, that's not bad. Like, you want to go back to the old system because you didn't have to spend anything. And I remember that because I own everything in the game and I never bought a single loot box. So I still have like 100,000 legacy coins. Emong has like 450,000 legacy coins. It's insane. To want that back is because you want to have everything for free again. You can't have your cake and eat it too. That's not going to happen if you want this game to actually survive. If you want to log in every time there's a holiday every 4 months and get 4 skins, and then everyone puts the skins on and goes, yay, and there are 3 games, and then doesn't play the game again, sure, let's go back to that. But then that's exactly the same shit that got us in the problems that we had Overwatch 1. So, granted, I think it's totally fine to look at Blizzard and be like, hey, these shits are bad. This is unfair. We need to look at these. We need to change this stuff. But at the same time, though, if you really, really think about it, what's more important? The game being good and getting content, or the cosmetic skins on that game?
Clearly the cosmetics.
Well, I mean, I think the other part I'd add about that is that I think, because the conversation I've seen is people say, well, don't bring back loot boxes for everything, but bring back loot boxes as like a free reward, you know, like to give it in. Again, I think my biggest point of that would be like, I think people are forgetting that loot boxes were considered predatory by the industry. And the whole
like a free currency.
Yeah, just go with free currency.
So you can buy something.
Hot take real quick. I know people claim loot boxes to be predatory, but I never found Overwatch 1's loot boxes to be predatory.
No, but they were so
I
fair.
don't even think that's
the
a
idea.
hot take. I think Overwatch loot boxes were pretty good. You got everything
you'd
by
be
just playing the
surprised, though,
game.
man.
I know a lot of people, with every time any journalist or any, like, whatever the fuck you call them, my brain isn't working, but journalists would talk about predatory loot boxes, they would always talk about Overwatch, and that was so silly because they weren't predatory. You would get everything by just playing the game. You didn't even have to pay any. Like, I had every skin by just playing the game. Yes, I play the game way too much, but you could unlock
It's
everything.
attainable. It's attainable.
Yes, and you also
very
got currency.
You don't look at Apex. Like, Apex, you guys spend like $500, and you. First off, I think once you get to a certain level, you don't actually get loot boxes anymore. Like, you're just like capped. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
I'm not like I thought it was like you could only end up getting like 500 or something like that. I'm not sure.
Chime in if you know.
Yeah, if you guys are aware, because I remember then like people would always talk about how you had to buy more loot boxes because like every 500 loot boxes you were able to, it's 2,900. So they changed it. Okay, they added more this year. But in the past, though, there was actually a cap on how many loot boxes you got for free. Then after that, you'd have to buy loot boxes. And then every loot box, you had every 500 loot boxes, you could get an heirloom, which was like their big mythic skin, like their big thing. But every 500 loot boxes, you were guaranteed one. Like, think about that. You had to buy so many fucking loot boxes if you wanted these items. You could spend tens of thousands of dollars to get them.
Yeah,
it is gambling. It's just gambling, right?
It's
just it's like a random chance. Like, obviously Overwatch did it fairly, but it is still a random. It's like playing the slot machine, which has its own Twitch controversy. So I think the Overwatch 2. I think this is the summary of like this whole conversation probably. What we're doing in Overwatch 2 isn't great, but that doesn't mean we need to go straight back to what was happening in Overwatch 1, right? Whether that's the gameplay, whether that's certain map systems or 6v6 or whatever, or the monetization. There's so much we could improve with the monetization. I think a huge amount of the pain points would just go away if instead of giving you dodgy challenges to do to earn your currency, they just gave you currency for playing. I don't understand why they don't just give you currency for playing. Let the players get rewarded for just playing. Don't force them to play, I don't know, some garbage arcade mode and get this much. Like, just get them play, give them coins, then they can buy what they want. Everyone's happy, right? And then you can tweak what a fair amount of that is. I understand that they want to put the heroes behind the battle pass, put it lower though. I think even now, especially because
Level
there's been
20.
It has to be really
It
has to be accessible.
2025. It shouldn't be. I think
we all know why they're
Warzone's
doing
was
it though, right?
15.
Oh yeah, we know
You're
why
what?
they're doing it.
We all know why they
Oh.
do that, though. It's the
Yeah.
FOMO. It's the FOMO. It's to get people to buy the battle pass. It's
Yeah, and I think that element
yeah.
should be there. Honestly, I do think it should be there, but I don't see it needing to be more than 20, 25, personally. I think it's a much better look for them to have it there.
Yeah, honestly, the 45 that they dropped it to doesn't even feel closer because they
I think
took
it was,
away.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
it went from 50. Was it was 55 to
I thought you said
45?
they
to
dropped- I thought you
45.
said they dropped it like they launched it at 45. I thought. It was
No,
45.
they've
You're right,
dropped
sorry.
it down to 45, but even now
Yeah.
it feels longer because I think they took away a lot of like free XP double weekends, whatever, and just
Yeah.
I think the way some
Oh
of the
yeah, so actually,
So,
it's
like,
long.
so you're, like,
Yeah, it
actually
does
just
feel
taking-
longer.
It's like the hero
Wait-
passive, dude.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a sneak nerf. So I think they need to stop. I think they need to stop doing that. Like I think Overwatch 1 was very fair, and I think large parts of their monetization model in Overwatch 2 was very fair, but like stop capping
The
on
shop,
this one.
the shop, I wouldn't say is fair. I would say the shop is a little bit.
I think the shop should get tuned. But
I think the shop is really, really, really bad, and I think it's really insulting when you get a green Junker Queen basic skin for $20. And even though I don't care about the skins, jokes aside, it is horrible. I hate the shop so much. I hate everything about it. Yes, there's some skins that are really cool and might cost and might be worth $20, like the Reinhardt skin, the new one. Those are cool, but when you get a green reskin of something or some
Yeah.
dumbass heirloom or whatever the fuck it's called for insane amounts of money, like the Pachimari weapon charm costing more than the real life keychain, that is ridiculous. Genuinely ridiculous. I hate
What?
everything about it. And before anyone says anything, I do want to point out that I don't think we should. I do think Overwatch 2 monetization is better for the game long run in the sense that they're gonna make more money, so we can get more updates. And I do think they should drop the level before you can the level on which you can unlock the new hero. Because even if it's at level 20, people are still gonna buy the battle pass and spend hundreds of dollars just to get the mythic skin instantly.
So, can I just say really fast?
No, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
think there's a big solution here. Well, first off, I think that Blizzard kind of preys on the whole idea of it being a free-to-play early access game. Because like all the old skins being is just as much as the new skins, and like you said, like a green Junker Queen skin being the same price as like the new Reinhardt skin. Like I feel like there's no way somebody sat back and like I feel like they're preying on the idea of like, oh, like, you know, why is it like that? Like there's no way someone sat there and said, yup, those are worth the same thing. And it's like they're like hoping people buy it, but it's like it's such a ridiculous pricing that like, you know, they don't even care if they sell those or not. They just like, if they do, they'll make more. But I think the big problem in is even with those skins, you can buy them with either legacy credits or paid money for the same price, which makes no fucking sense. Like I feel like on their side, it probably makes sense that it's the same thing. It's like, oh, it's the same number, 2 different credits. Like, yeah, like, yeah, really. Then why can't I buy stuff in the shop then for the legacy credits? Oh, why? Because they're not considered the same thing. Oh, that's what I thought. But there's a big problems here. There's a lot of big problems of like, there's not enough free to rewards. There's not enough ways to be incentivized, and they shoot themselves in the foot all the time. Like the Halloween event, right? Like you got like the Captain Reaper skin and like the weapon charm. There's so many people out there that probably don't even know they have them because it didn't even give you a notification. Like a little box popped up. It was like ding, and then like went away. Like wasn't like a big banner of like, you know, Halloween event. You've got this stuff for free. This stuff for free. You know, equip them now, and it like really advertises it to you. But, and this is my big one, in a game like Valorant, when you get a skin for the gun. You use the gun on every character. Overwatch, if you get a Reaper skin and you don't play Reaper, that skin means nothing to you because you're never going to use it. So I think that what Overwatch really needs is needs to really ramp up their free credit system so you can actually get the shitty green Junker Queen skin without paying money. So that way you're still getting skins. Yeah, it's not the same level, but you're still getting something and getting a reward for playing the game without spending any money. But the better route is when there is like rewards and stuff, like having that credit system, that currency to buy things. You can buy things for the characters you actually want them for, not, oh, you get this and that's it. Shut the fuck up. Like it's like I don't want a Brig skin. I don't play Brig. Well, too bad, bitch. This is yours now. Good luck. And it's like, I feel like that's really unrewarding for players, and it's not a good time. And I think giving them freedom and giving them ability to choose would make it feel like a lot better of an experience for the free-to-play player.
I do want to say something. I think anyone listening to this right now, if you honestly think you deserve to get every skin in the game for $20 or whatever the fuck, you should go outside and touch some grass. That's not how it works. I will be honest. Like, I really hate that sentiment. I really hate all of this. It's like people just assume that Blizzard makes games for fun and not for profit. Games are for profit, and we are their clients. And it's just how things work. Yes, I don't want things to work like this, but that's how things work, okay? The game needs to make profit. That's how it, like, they get profit, we might get updates. You don't like the game, don't play the game. That's it, end of story. So I really hate the entire thing. That's how, like Flood said, that's how the game actually just died out in Overwatch 1, because they didn't want to support the game anymore. Activision didn't want to, because they didn't make any money. Why would you make any money? In the first few months of Overwatch 2, I bet you they've made 10 times more than they've made in the last 2 years of Overwatch 1. And I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Yes, the shop needs to be reworked and the monetization needs to be changed a bit and things need to be cheaper. But as long as the game is making money, they're actually going to be making some updates. The updates might be bad, okay, but they're updates and it's a lot better than what Overwatch 1 had. And at the end of the day, as I said, the game needs to make money. There's no way you can assume that you're going to get every single skin for the rest of your life or every single piece of new content for a small price of $20 or $30. It's not how things happen. It's a free-to-play game that keeps getting updates. It's a live service game. Like, it doesn't work that way. So I really hate it when people talk about this. I think people are delusional about game development. I think people are delusional about the fact that people are working in this game and need to get paid for this game. Right? I know Blizzard has money. Activision has money, but they need to keep making money so it's profitable. Thank you.
Based. Sam, you had something
you
want
know
to say.
What would be sick? And Flats, I think you're onto something. It'd be really cool if, similar to Call of Duty, and I'm sure Valorant does it too, Flats, as you mentioned, like skins for a gun that go across the different characters, right? Because you're using the gun. How cool would it be if, and I'd be willing, like, I'd be okay with this too, if they either sold like some kind of, you know how we have the gold guns. Imagine if they sold like a weapon package or did like a themed package, or like, for example, like a unique like GM or top 500 or whatever it may be, that like Masters Plus like skin unlock or weapon unlock that like a Damascus. Are you guys familiar with Damascus in like diamond camos in Call of Duty?
Mm-hmm.
Like how you have to unlock the weapon challenges. Like, what if you got a certain rank, or if they had an event and they want to do a package to where you could use that as the weapon, like camo for all of your characters, very similar to like what a gold weapon is. Because I mean, I assume that the layouts for it already exist, considering there's gold weapons. I'm sure, maybe it's not as easy
even further.
How could
you can go even further with that, and actually take it down the free route as well, and have like basically like, you know how like you basically like if you get like what's considered like all the camos for all the guns, you get like, you know, you get even like sicker stuff. What if there was like role-based challenges where if you play 5,000 games of tank, you got some awesome skin or some awesome like set of skins.
So something like that. And I think that, you know, that would be a good bone to throw to the community. Again, and like you could sell them, you could do for certain things, or for like, you know, I think that would be something that'd be cool for maybe. I'm sure. Look, I'm not an artist. I was a kid who got a B in art class. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you how. Like, don't ask me how that happened, fellas. But you know, we're not trying to tell the artist what to do, but that could be something cool for Blizzard to do to kind of branch out. We talked about different rewards, and that would help maybe make people want to try a little bit more in ranked and solve the rank problem, which, in my opinion, this is kind of the conclusion that I've been coming to over the last month. Ranked to me is just dead. And the competitive scene of the game, I think, is just dead. So it's just like, I'm not like abysmal, like bad. I'm not trying to sit there and be negative about it. I just don't think that's the direction that this game is going to go. And that's good and bad. I'm more excited for, you guys know my take. I'm more excited for PvE than anything. I'm a Borderlands fanboy. I'm stoked for skill trees and stuff like that. Like, that's the most fun we could have. But I think Flats, that was a really sweet idea. And I think that'd be dope to see in the game. And I think that would help the community kind of lay off the little bit justified, little bit not justified gas on the shop prices and the shop and stuff.
Yeah, I think definitely great. And one more thing that I'd add is would help with this equation, decrafting, the ability to smelt or, you know, just
No.
destroy
idea.
your skins that you don't want. Or if you get a skin that you don't want, let's say you're watching Twitch drops and you're like, I'm watching because I like watching, but do I want this? I don't know, Diva skin. I don't play Diva. Dcraft gets you like, I don't know, a third of the way to an actual skin you want, and that way, again, maybe there's a bunch of skins that you have from Overwatch 1 that you never wanted. Get some use out of them, and maybe over time you realize, okay, I bought that skin, but I don't really want it too much anymore, so I want to trade it in for a different skin. I think it always helps for in games to be able to do that. So any more thoughts on monetization and this whole shebang? I don't even know what word I made that word up. Go shebang before we move on. Thank you.
My
Simon.
final
You know what I was
thoughts is that I've spent $0 on the game, and God bless. I think that's wonderful. I have spent $0 in the game. For some reason, people think they have to spend money in the game. I don't think they understand how free to play works. I have spent $0 and I've gotten hundreds of hours of gameplay. God bless. If people want to spend money on the skins, you can do it. If you want to complain about the skins, I agree with you. But I can still play the game. God bless. Thank you for coming.
A mic drop. That was such a mic drop. I already see the YouTube comments.
Oh yeah, people are
It's-
mad already. Well, I'm already gonna get people being like, nobody cares about your streamer opinion. Like, what about us real hard working people?
Yeah,
who
I
want all
just
the
keep
skins?
reading like all of everyone's like really mad. They're like, "Whoa, how dare he say that the developers need to get paid and they need to make money? Oh, that doesn't mean the patches
Shill.
are gonna be good. They're the shill paid actor. You know what? I don't give a shit. I don't
when's
get to
creator code so we can actually truly
you
go
know
the
what?
shill
Give me a
experience.
critical. If Blizzard pays me to say the game monetization is fine, I'll take it. What I'm trying to say is, I have spent $0 on this game. I have spent $0. None of you have to spend money on this game. You understand that? And that's the wonderful thing about free to play. Yes, it needs to be reworked and things need to be changed and they need to add free currency or you can disenchant things. I get it. I understand it. But free to play is great, and I love that. And I like that we have mythic skins. Mythic skins are really cool at the end of the day. We can always complain about things, but we also can take things as they are and look at the good things about the game and what it allows us to have. Because before, when Overwatch cost like $40 or $60, I couldn't go to my friends in school and say, let's play Overwatch, because we live in Bulgaria. That's like 1/4 of the minimum salary in Bulgaria, right? I can't go to them and say, yeah, pay $60 to play with me. Now I can go to all of my friends and say, yo, download Overwatch 2, let's play together. And I think that's wonderful. And I really am happy about that. Because now people don't need to pay an arm and a leg in Bulgaria to play a game. Now they can just play it for free and we can have some fun. And they don't need to spend money in the game to have fun. And I think that's great. That's why I enjoy the free-to-play model. Because it brings us together and I can share my love or hatred for the game with my friends. Thank you.
Paste. The biggest part of that was a lie. Is that you have friends. I think that's the biggest disingenuous
Real,
part of that.
no friends.
Or
But you
love,
actually
that
have
was the
friends.
second biggest lie.
Winton.
Winded. Okay. So I think as well, I think a lot of the pain would go, because I've seen a lot of people say the sentiment that Boger's ranting about, which is like, I think the biggest thing that people need to let go of is that you paid for Overwatch 1. You got Overwatch 1. Like, you need to let that go. Like, you have to treat Overwatch 2 as a new game. And then, because I see a lot of people be like, well, I'm not getting anything as a free player. You're getting the game. You're getting the game as a free player. Like, that is the entire content. Like, there's not enough content for the free-to-player. There's the whole game. And, like, the heroes are pretty easy to get too, which I think another point, to be fair. Once, ironically, like, outside the Battle Pass, they're maybe, like, quicker to get. I don't even know. But, like, from what I've seen about, like, how you unlock a hero, like, let's say Kiriko or Junker Queen or Sojourn that you didn't have, it's actually pretty reasonable. It's just like, go play a little bit in the practice range and then win like 50 games or something. It's like, it's really fair considering what it could have been.
SCB, I have a question for you, actually. I don't know the answer to this.
Mm-hmm.
But games that you buy that shut down, right? Let's say they go under. They're not supported anymore. Do the people that bought the game get refunded? No.
Gee, Flats, I don't think so.
So I feel like a lot of people say the same thing about Overwatch. It's like, well, Overwatch, they took Overwatch 1 away. Yeah, they did. It's gone. That's it. It's over. You had Overwatch 1. It failed. I mean, it lived for years. But then it stopped being supported. And that's it. They turned the servers off. And they've reserved the right to do that. And any game that's gone under, that's a live game, can do that. You can be mad about it all you want, but that's the reality. It was replaced with Overwatch 2. So you can actually just continue your journey that you had in the first game into Overwatch 2. But I think the argument of, well, they took away Overwatch 1. Yeah. Because it was something that was failing. And any game that falls apart and fails and is no longer supported as an online game, they have the right to do that. And that's how it works in any game that falls apart. That's what happens. So a game like Anthem, right? Anthem fell apart. I think Anthem was like a $60 game. Do you just expect them to keep the servers on forever for a game that made them no money and was dead and fell apart? No, they turned the servers off and that was it. And then everyone said, wow, that was a failure of a game. And that was the end. So to sit there and be like, well, they took it away. Yes, they did. It's gone now. If you want to continue Overwatch journey, it's an Overwatch 2. And that's it. There's nothing else to talk about there. It's over. It's gone. And games have the right to do that. And any game has the right to do that at any time. Actually, I don't know if you've ever read your terms and services, but if you buy a game on like Steam or Xbox Live or anything like that, they actually reserve the right to take that away from you at any time and not refund you and turn that off because you're getting a lease. You don't own the physical copy in today's gaming. You are buying a license, a lease. You do not own a physical copy unless you own a physical copy of a game that can be played offline. So when people really like got on that whole thing, like I understand it's frustrating, but like I hope you know you're like legally in the wrong. Like, and it's like it sucks.
Sue them.
But it's the truth. Like the sooner we can come to terms with that, the happier you can become in the long term. So I don't know. Like that's my 2 cents on it. I understand your pain, but to take it out on Overwatch 2, it's just you have to think the game is dead. Like Overwatch 1 is gone. Like nobody would do that on about Anthem. Like Anthem stole my money. The game died. Like you got the game, fell apart. Nobody played it. Go fucking bang on what was it, EA? Go bang on EA's door and see if they give you your money back. Ain't gonna happen.
Even better one, Battlefield 2042.
Base.
Damn shame. I didn't get my refund on that game.
No, I think it's very well said, especially a multiplayer game. Especially a multiplayer game where it's servers. You can't expect them to run servers for a game for you that doesn't make.
What do you mean
money.
servers? You have to pay money to maintain servers? What? I can't have the servers running 24/7 just for me? No way. I'm angry.
Yeah, and hang on. I'm sorry. I'm ranting in my chat. You say it's a morality issue to not keep your servers online for a game that's not there. Do you understand what the word morality means?
You're immoral.
If you bought Overwatch 5 or 6 years ago for $40 and they turned the servers off, you think that's a morality problem? The only way I can agree with you is if you bought it on the last day for $20 while it was still for like $20 left on the game.
Pack, though. Yeah. You got the watch point
pack.
No,
before the watch point pack. Before remember they flipped it? Like it was like, you know, like there was technically a few days in there where like the watch point pack hadn't come out yet. So like you could have bought the regular game for like $20 and the watch point comes out and then it's $40. Like if you want, yeah, like but like the same thing though is you still got Overwatch 2, you know, and it's just insane. It's insane to think that way. Because it's frustrating. I get it. It's frustrating, but it makes no sense. If you read any of your terms and agreements, you've already agreed to all of this shit. Like you sign up for it. When you spent your money, you have to be informed. If I spend my money on a scam, that's kind of on me a little bit. Like, yeah, there's legal repercussions on their end, but I also am kind of an idiot. You know, like. You kind of have to do your research and be smart about things.
Personal accountability in 2023, Jesus.
No.
Awful.
Never.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of, I don't know, man.
World's a funny place. World's a funny place.
You bought the stocks of a company
that
shut down the next
shield
day.
for Blizzard.
Yeah, clearly.
You know what's funny? To this day, I still have been paid more by Apex Legends than I have by Blizzard. Think about that. I have still to this day been paid more by Apex Legends than by Activision Blizzard
Apex
Overwatch.
Are paying you to
sleep on
shut
that
down
one.
Overwatch.
I will sleep on that one.
Apex paid you to shit talk Blizzard. That's what it is. You're the shield for Apex.
You know how much Apex paid me? They paid me $500 to test their season 10 Ash plus map.
You are clearly
It's expired. I can talk about it now. I was paid $500 to test it for 2 hours. Never been paid a single cent to test anything Overwatch related. So shut the fuck up.
Paid actor flats, Blizzard chill. You
just admitted
what
it.
the
You
fuck?
just admitted it.
You admitted it.
Yep.
Can
Coin
in the
4K.
cookie jar.
Get creator codes when so we can really ramp this up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Then
facts.
we can have this conversation about a shilling.
I would
It's
love
just-
creator
It's so
codes.
funny. The funniest thing that I see is like when people try to tell me that when like I give them credit for stuff, I'm like, you just want to do all the events. I'm like, you mean the events that are on the platform I don't stream on, right? You mean the event? Like what? like hello, like you know, dude, like what do you think? Turn your brain on, buddy. Flip the switch. Jeez Louise. Unbelievable. You just can't make it up nowadays. It's too funny.
No, unfortunately, you know that's part of our job. Like you're negative. You're like, why is streamer always negative? Play a different game. You're positive, chill. So it's
You know,
like,
it's
No,
great.
you
It's
can't
just-
flip in between. You're not allowed to
no,
have
no,
emotion.
you can't.
are
You
only
can't
one
be
entity at
giving
all
your genuine
times.
opinion.
It's
No,
great
no,
because
no.
when we complain, everyone is like, "Why are they always angry?" When we like say positive things about Blizzard, they're always like,
Now,
"Why are
you
you
can
killing
never win. It'll
It
never
is
win.
fucking
No.
wild.
It's
It is
I-
wild.
Okay, I know Sam's got to go soon, so we'll
Yeah.
cut the pity party short, and we can rant to each other in DMs. I think the last thing to really touch on. So obviously there was the betas. Let's run through this really quickly now. Any regrets on the betas and how they were done? Like, do you think that was a good system, or could it have been done differently? Sam, I see you agitated already.
You know, at first I was a little upset at them. I thought it was like kind of silly because you're like half in the grave, half out of the grave, and we're going like I think it was very weird to go back to Overwatch 1 after being on Overwatch 2. At the same time, you kind of need release hype for each one. At the time, like I was really upset because obviously like we're fresh out of 2021. You know, I can't say that, damn. But it wasn't what I expected, right? And I think that my expectations, I think my
Sam's like,
expectations were different from reality.
I really don't want to get sued.
Yeah, literally.
Corpa, they're knocking.
Yeah, geez, like, it just maybe my I don't know. I just whatever. It's what's done is done. Jeez, Louise. What's done is done. Ideally, I think in terms of like the ideal situation, it would have been different, but there was not a whole lot of ideal over the last 2 years in the whole world. Not even just Activision, right? It's just not everything was ideal post 2020 and even into 21 to 22, right? But I think generally it turned out okay. There was a lot of concern about how it was going to turn out. I think I was really worried about the forward looking. It was like, okay, not a lot of this seems like it's ready according to what they're saying. It's not like this seems like a very weird model. Like it's very confusing to the player. We might lose our consumer. They might get lost with what's everything's going on, but it ended up turning out okay. So to me, it's water under the bridge. I'm not that worried about it. And I think, you know, again, I would say post October, I give like an 8.4 out of 10.
Very precise. Very
Yeah,
precise.
8.4. 8.4. That's what I'm gonna go with. So yeah, I think it
I
could
mean,
have been
yeah,
better, but
let's-
it could have been worse. You know, whatever.
Yeah, let's take it there. So let's fast forward again. Early access. We've had now 2 seasons or 1 season and a bit. How do you think it's gone, guys? Like, I'll go to Flats. How do you think it's gone, Flats? You think we had our technical issues, we've had balance issues, hot fix issues, but overall, has it still been good?
I would say it's been good. And I say that with the frame of reference of where we were. I think in the grand scheme of other games, we're still a little behind. I think that a lot of consumers have realized we're behind, and they're, you know, I think season 3 is going to be a big challenge. I think that's going to be the first challenge of Overwatch of like, how are you going to get the free-to-play consumer to come back from Valorant, come back from Apex, come back from Call of Duty, to come play your game? Because without that big hero release, there's not a whole lot else right now with Overwatch, and it's those small problems, as we learned in Overwatch 1, do add up over time. And it's like, oh yeah, where everyone just complains all the time. But it's like, you know, you're complaining about small things that are problems. And it's like, if there's enough small problems, the foundation gets rotted out, you know? Like, it's like termites, you know? One termite's not that scary, but a whole colony of termites eating out the whole foundation, that thing can come back down quick. So
That's
I
what
would
you
say,
are,
like,
chat. You're the
I'd say
termites.
things have been good. Well, not my words. I would say things have been very, very good. In terms of like where we were, I've been very, 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 very blessed. So maybe I'm a bit biased. Where, went from an Overwatch 1 of 5 to 700 to 1,000 viewer Andy on a really good day, to with drops like 22K at the peak organically, which has been absolutely mind-boggling. I don't know where it came from. And a lot of people are excited for Overwatch 2. And so I would rather not like a 1,000 times out of 1,000 be where we are now than where we were last year. And like, let's say, was it the right decision to release, Overwatch 2 now? Like, what if they pushed it another 8 months and polished it up and made it better? No, they made the right call. They pushed it out and you can tell like there's things that are rushed. Like there's a lot of things you can see like, this probably wasn't cleaned up, or like they had to make some choices. They had to cut some corners in some places. Is it the same Overwatch 1 that was very polished in a lot of ways? No. But I'm very grateful they did that. I think a lot of people that played Overwatch 1 and enjoyed it are grateful. I think it's restored life for a lot of people. I think it brought a lot of people back to the game. A lot of my friends who still play, like, their rotation of games, Overwatch is still in their rotation again. And like, yeah, they're not hard grinding as much as they were, but they still enjoy it and they're still having a good time. So the free to play and the casual players are not done yet. They're not going to be toast, I don't think, for another maybe 2-3 seasons. And at that point, hopefully we're getting towards PvE talks at that point. So I think everything's going to be just fine. I'm happy where we are. I want things to improve. Blizzard has started to show its commitment to its promise and try to be more communicative and react faster. If that continues, I'm very optimistic. If we reverse course again, you lost me again. So we'll say good for now.
Bogur.
I think like I wish we had. I guess the whole hotfix system is fixed and stuff. I just want the season 3 patch to be really big, just to spice things up because we've had social meta for so long. I hope it's gonna be, because they said Roadhog is gonna be reworked and stuff. I know if it's gonna happen season 3 or whenever it's gonna happen, but I just wish we have way bigger changes. But a lot of the things we complain about, mostly revolve around monetization and ranked. I think the gameplay is good, and we've already talked about it, so I think it's really good outside of the really broken characters, obviously. But those things will eventually be changed, hopefully. As Vlad said, compared to before, I think it's a lot better. I'm really happy with it. I think all of the people that complain on Twitter and in everyone's chat and on YouTube are a really loud minority. I think there's a big casual player base that just sits there and has fun playing the game in quick play and just enjoys their time. And we don't get to hear their opinion, because why would they sit on Reddit typing up a storm talking about how much they hate certain aspects of the game? They don't care enough. They come back, they play the game, and have fun. The fact that we have so many stupid opinions everywhere means that the casual player base has grown a lot, because TikTok and YouTube comments, like the fact that so many people have so many stupid opinions all of a sudden and are so feel like it's necessary to share them, I feel like just means that the game has reached a way bigger audience, and I think that's really good at the end of the day. And the viewership everywhere has increased on Twitch, on YouTube, on TikTok, and I think that's great. It's easy to look at the bad things right now and be sad about it or angry about it, but I feel like we've come a long way from before, and it might take some time. Hopefully things get a lot better and the main core issues that we have right now get fixed. I guess we have to be patient, and if you don't have the patience for it, just don't play the game. God bless. But I'm hopeful, because I don't have a choice but to be hopeful. And I just want Roadhog to get destroyed. Thank you for coming.
100% agree. 100% on all that. Game got stupider. The community got stupider, which means it got bigger. That's how you tell. I agree. The TikTok and YouTube comments got hella stupid, so it means more people are out here. I think, and we can head to concluding thoughts here as well. I think from my POV, the pain points come again from that hardcore competitive, like really trying to grind the game. That's where all the pain points lie. And again, the same way that those of us who stuck through Overwatch 1, we can kind of tell war stories, right? When we talk about Overwatch 1 now, we tell war stories where we're like, you guys weren't even around when there were Torb armor packs and when Sombra's health packs gave ult charge, so she just like farmed EMP every fight off of her teammates' damage, and like all these little war stories. And you guys didn't live through 3 years of no patches and like double shield or whatever. I think in another 6 months we'll hopefully tell war stories about how bad the comp was in the first couple seasons of Overwatch 2, where we were like, oh boy, I was getting plats in my GM games, or I was getting bronze players in my diamond games, or whatever. Right? Like it was crazy out there, fellas.
Too in Overwatch 1. I don't know if you remember that. Like very towards like the early,
yeah,
not even the late
that's
part.
one
Like
because
towards
literally
the
had
beginning,
no one
like
else.
the night queues. Like there were plenty of times where you'd see an open queue, you'd see like diamonds. Like I remember my rank 50 game. There was a guy who was playing Tor back in season 4, and I was doing it with Marcel, and we queued into him, and he goes, "Oh my god, is that a top 500?" I go, what? Like, we won the game. We won the game, but I had to lock Soldier, run it down. But no, like this is, I agree. I think that would be a great sentiment to have.
Yeah, so I think basically the point was I was going to say is that I think it is early access, and as much as I loathe that because it doesn't really give us any slack, like the wider consumer base don't care, but we will probably look back 6-7 months from now from when Overwatch 2 becomes a more polished game. Basically, we're spending these 6 months playing the game rather than waiting for it to be polished, which I think, in hindsight, I'd rather have that. I'd rather be playing Overwatch 2 and having some deal with some bugs than still be playing Overwatch 1 and waiting for Overwatch 2. So that's how I stand. So when I reflect on 2022 for that way, as much as I lament certain things that were lost, cannot be mad in any way that we are where we are now. And in 30 minutes, I'll go rant about a ladder game. But for now, I'm very happy. So I'm going to take it to Sam next. I know he's got to go. Sam, concluding thoughts then, how you reflect on 2022 and then maybe a word to what's to come.
I think it was much better. Right, it was much better. There were a couple years, in my opinion, of like negative mistakes that overall for Overwatch, and that takes usually a couple years of course correction to make it happen. But I think the first year overall, especially with how it ended, did what it needed to do to lay the foundation. And then what I'm really looking to is this year. I think this year is going to be the real tell. Like year 1 to year 2, can you build off what you laid down? I'm going to give the comp mode some time. I'm probably just going to take a break from it for a while, and just really focus on like getting more in touch with like the casual side and like doing other stuff. Getting old, it's time to hang up the cape probably. It's still just focus on like trying to teach everybody everything that I've learned and articulate it better. So for me, that's kind of like what I want to focus on. It feels better when you're playing the game like that, when you have friends. I'd love to see like weekend tournament modes or something to balance out the competitive and the casual side. Like maybe during the week, it's just like all quick play. And then, hey, oh yeah, you guys can stack up on the weekends and play in a tournament or something, whatever it may be. So competitive mode is just going to have to like, slowly but surely get to where it needs to be. As for like quick play and stuff, I think it's better than ever. I think the free to play change was great. I think that overall, the sentiment about the game is better than it was before, but there's still definitely a lot of work to do, and there's still a lot of question marks up in the air with what's going to happen to Microsoft and what that's because that really is going to have a pretty massive impact on what happens to not just Overwatch but Activision as a whole. So I'm happy. There is definitely more opportunities in the game in terms of content creation to get out there and make stuff happen. And as a creator, I'm definitely grateful for that. Need to capitalize on it more. It'll be fun to do. But I, overall would like to say, generally, thanks for turning it around. A lot of work to still do. I think like the nitty gritty balance stuff definitely is going to need some looking at, but hopefully that gets better as time goes on. If not, I'll just be playing quick play.
And the lord of the quick play movement, Flats.
Did we just convert Sam in 2 hours? This is awesome.
Everyone's converting. God bless.
Frito will be somewhere where he's like, I told you guys 2 years ago quick play was where it's at.
Listen, quick play is where it's at. You don't get tilted. It's just more fun. I mean, yes. I feel like actually people get more tilted in the quick play, but I digress. I don't get tilted. Let's point out, I don't get tilted. It's way more casual. It's chill, and it's just easier. It's just easier. It's just chill. And I think that's all right. I think it's all right to not always sweat 24/7.
Mm-hmm. But why don't you give your concluding thoughts then, while you're kind of on the mic? Your concluding thoughts on 2022 and what you look forward to 2023.
I am looking forward for the PvE. I'm looking forward to them changing obviously, as we spoke, some aspects of the monetization, maybe lowering the the unlock, so it's like level 20 or something. I'm looking forward big changes. I just want them to make really big balance changes, because I see a lot of other games that I've played that are also free to play, and they always make these really big patches that really shake up everything. I want that to happen with Overwatch 2. I really want that to happen with Overwatch 2. I think they're scared about they're scared, but they should be doing stuff like that, because it would just make things a little bit different, a little bit more fresh. I know there's a high chance of you can fuck up things, but it doesn't matter. Nobody will always be satisfied, right? As long as you address it as soon as possible when you fuck up and acknowledge it, it's all right. It's okay to take risks, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to Roadhog being absolutely horrible. That is a great thing I'm looking forward to. That is my number one thing. Like, that is my number one thing I'm looking forward to this year.
Don't count on it, Bogur, because if you rest your hopes on that, my guess is that they're going to do the Hog what they did to Sojourn, where they're like, we're nerfing him, but then he's
But they said they're
stronger,
working them.
Yeah, but
like,
he's going to make
really
his, they'll make his damage stronger, they'll make the hook something else, and they'll make his
what
damage
I'm
stronger,
hoping
and we'll be fucked.
is that they work him, he becomes really different from what he is right now, and all the Roadhog players would just sit and complain on Twitter 24/7.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that,
I'll just read it, and I'll be the happiest man alive. I can read the Reddit posts. Oh my god, no, the Roadhog should have been reworked. They should have just done this or that. I don't care. Fuck you. You made my games horrible. Now you get to suffer.
Flats, how do you feel concluding?
First off, I think we need to uninstall Twitter off of Bogur's phone. I think it's starting to do irreparable damage
Everyone's
to his brain.
To be honest.
We must save him first. That is our number one priority going into the new year. I want to end on like a semi-positive note. I want to say that Overwatch 1 for 2.5 years was the darkest game probably in the AAA title universe that lasted that long. Every other AAA title that was worse died, like officially, like actually like went offline. It felt like we went through a lot of shit, and we finally got to the end of the tunnel in Overwatch 2. And I think it was a little underwhelming for a lot of people. And there's a lot of survivor bias of wanting to go back and, get 2CP back and a lot of other things. But I feel like we look way too much at the past instead of looking towards the future. Why not look? I want to look towards like things that we could do better. And people have been talking about there's a new game mode that just got announced, and I want to see that after this. And I want to start having more fun things we can do. I want to see the Overwatch team cut loose a little bit. I want them to not be as afraid of the community. I want them to be able to talk to us more. I want them to be able to do things where we all just kind of have a good time with it. I would love to end up being wrong in 2023 about competitive, and having competitive actually come back as something that is desired by a lot of people. Although, to be honest with you, my hopes are quite low on that department. But my hopes are quite high on the rest of the content and PvE down the line. I think PvE is going to be the thing that most people end up playing more of than even the PvP game mode, because Blizzard's always been really good at making those types of games, and if Overwatch really knocks it out of the park with it, oh man, we could have so much fun for so much time, and I think it's going to be a good time, and I can't wait to see it. And as much as painful as Overwatch has been throughout the years, I'm trying to let go of the old pain of Overwatch 1 somewhat, so it doesn't cloud my judgment of the future of Overwatch 2, because I don't think that like completely forgetting the past is the right way. I think accepting it and moving on and learning from the past is the way to go. Because if we constantly look back and constantly just like harass them, like be like, well, we waited 3 years for this, so this isn't enough. And it's like, yeah, I get it. I'm with you on that. But if we just constantly do that, nothing's ever going to catch up. And the only thing I think that could catch up is maybe PvE. And what happens if PvE, like if people's hopes for PvE is so high, like let's say they're still hoping it's going to be a game that could stand on its own with replayability. And let's say it's like a campaign where you play it one time, and then after that, it's like kind of not as fun. It's like, you can still kind of play it, but it's like not great. Now everyone's gonna be like, oh, the PvE sucked too. Like, I'm sure like there's so many dangerous routes we could kind of go down with that. But I just want to see what's coming. I want to enjoy it. I want to have a good time. Because at the end of the day, that's honestly all we're trying to do. Is one, we want to have a good time. Two, we'd love to see the game be better and strive for it to be better. And three, I'm tired of getting one shot by Sojourn and Roadhog. So please nuke those characters and we'll have a good time.
Please and thank you. And on that note as well, please and thank you to my guests once more for joining me. Fellas, I'm glad we connect. Hopefully Frito can reconnect at some point as well, because people keep asking me, where's Frito? Where's Frito? Feel free, yeah, send some love and some hearts. He needs your positive energy because he's unwell right now. So we'll get Frito in. But Bogur, thank you very much for filling in, as you've always lovely to have you on.
That's
So
not
thank you very
Bogur,
much.
that's Winton.
That's
Winton.
Winton.
That's right.
Winton
Winton.
loves tilting everyone's chats. It's my number one priority in life.
I mean, everyone else.
Now the
thing is-
conspiracy theory. Is Bogur's actual opinion, or is he here to tilt chats?
I'll be honest.
he would do it.
It's a theory
Chaotic
you can
neutral
think
Bogur.
about. What?
Chaotic neutral Bogur.
I love being chaotic neutral. That's how I live my life. I've decided that actually sharing my honest to God opinions is horrible, and it's always funnier to just tilt everyone. It might be my actual opinions, it might not be, but hey, you can figure it out on your own.
You'll never know. And on
You
that
never
note,
know.
I'm gonna let everyone get going. I know you guys got places to be. So thank you very much, guys. I hope we can connect again plenty more in 2023, and I hope it is a fantastic year for us. Once more, Happy New Year, guys. Hope you had a great holiday season. And here's to a good year for us all.
Let's get
Winton
it, fellas. Much love, guys.
Alright.
See y'all later.
See you later.
Peace out, guys.
Bye.